Illustration, painting, storytelling, design, music, entertainment, and encouraging others to find their own dreams and keep moving forward. These are just a few of the qualities of the multifaceted and talented artist J.Q. SIRLS, or Jaquan, who found inspiration in both the story of Walt Disney and his hometown of Kansas City. J.Q. SIRLS was raised with his two brothers by their single mom.
My mother really nailed into me was this concept of paying attention to what people don't see. That turned me into a designer. It was to pay attention. She always told me, if you pay attention to the things no one sees, that overall it's going to be gorgeous. And I thank her so much for that. I've always drawn. I've always been interested in drawing, but I didn't think anything of it. And my family always knew that I was an artist, so they didn't think anything of it. I was in preschool, and my mother was having an orientation with a teacher, and it was just myself, my mother, and the teacher. And they were quite boring, so I took a sheet of paper and an Etch-a-Sketch, and I drew Garfield and Odie. And when I drew Garfield and Odie, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I saw the Etch-a-Sketch, and I Etch-a-Sketched Garfield and Odie. And so being a 5-year-old, I didn't know how incredible that was. I do it all the time. And the teacher saw the picture. She thought that I traced the picture. And my mother was like, well, no, he does it all the time. And I'm looking at her like, do this all the time. And the teacher searched the whole classroom to find out what I traced from. And so my mother had me draw Odie in front of her. And then that was when the woman was like, he can do this. And I remember right then, I was like, people like this thing. Okay, I'll do this more often. I always went to this place called the Animation Store. The Animation Store was like an antique shop for old school cartoons. And one day I'll go up there and it's completely packed. And I've never seen it packed before. So I'm 7 years old and I'm walking through and I'm going through the people. And as I go through the people, I see sitting down at a table, one of the animators from Disney drawing Aladdin. And I remember saying out loud, adults don't do that. And the animator stopped, turned and pointed to me. I walked to him, he put me on his lap, he put my hand on his hand, and he started finishing Aladdin. So I'm watching this get made in front of me, and he whispered in my ear and said, only adults make cartoons. And it was, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Nose out. My influence from Walt Disney is massive. Walt Disney's Laugh-O-Gram studio, where he started, I lived down the street from in Kansas City. So it was nothing to walk by. And I mean, mind you, it's worn down, but to know this man started here and I live down the street, it's possible. Walt Disney, he went bankrupt so many times. Ideas were stolen, but he didn't give up. He didn't let go. And so being from Kansas City and being like him and on the journey to Los Angeles, to have such a far-fetched dream. I mean, when Disney started, the idea of animation and animated film was silly. It was crazy. And so he let me know that it's okay to be crazy, it's okay to be silly, and it's okay to be from Kansas City. Moodi Studios is a creative house. What we do is we create products for children that are simultaneously for adults. So as a creative house, we want to give the spirit of Apple, of Louis Vuitton, Dolce & Gabbana, and then put that design ethos and then put it into children's content and repack it of being a kid. And hopefully we can make adults become young. Because see, children are going to be children. They're always children. Children are children. The problem why children are growing up too fast is us. It's our problem. It's because we have forced them to grow up from our adult problems.
He closed his lips. Sarah, scream.
No Monster No!
No Monster No is about a little girl who takes the monster under her bed to school and teaches him manners. I thought of the story being a commentary for a child bullying, where now a little kid can say no to their monster, tap them on the hand, but take them to school and be a friend. A lot of times when we look at child bullying, we think of it, to your bully, you get in their face and you be mean back. Or we find there's a lot of different solutions to child bullying that I feel kind of turn the bullied into a bully. So what I wanted to do through No Monster No was turn the bullied into a friend. But at the same time, as an adult, No Monster No, what are the monsters in our own lives that we let consume our dreams, consume our purpose, consume who we are? We let these monsters of doubt of discouragement, of the lack of support, we let them take us over and get scared, and we stay in our bed of our mind and we say no. And it's like, no monster, no. You're telling your doubts, you're telling your fears no. And at the same time, now you're going to use your fears for the better. So that's the whole idea of taking it to school. You're educating yourself on why you're afraid, and let that be the fuel.
For JQ, real life was very different from the cartoons he dreamt about and loved so much.
In the fall of 2012, I drove from Kansas City to Los Angeles in January, and in the end of the year, I ended up homeless. I lived on a bench in Los Angeles with my laptop between my legs and sitting on a bench. This was for about a week and a half, and many of my friends and loved ones probably don't know this until seeing this video right now, that happened, because I kept it very silent to myself. I experienced a pain and a loss that was so devastating that at one point in time, I was just going to just chuck my laptop away and accept being homeless, because that might be easier. As dreamers, we all get to a point where we have to jump off the cliff and pray that God gives us wings. And I think every dreamer has to face that moment where you just take the leap of faith. And I took that leap of faith, and I was praying that God would give me wings. Please, God, give me wings. Please, God, give me wings. And he didn't. And I hit the ground. I hit the floor hard. But here's what God really taught me. He told me that I can survive if I hit the ground. And so now that I know that I can survive from jumping, I'm jumping every day until I get those wings. And that's what happened now. Is now I know, I can survive. So the worst that can happen is that. And from then, I hit the ground running. I became a train that wouldn't stop. Now, because my greatest fear of failure happened, now I don't fear failure anymore. I embrace it. The message behind the art that I do, and the art that I will forever do, is provoking the child within. I guess in my mind, I believe that if I can get parents and adults to see the child within themselves, and I can see through the lens of a child, they'll remember what being a kid was like. Oh man, I remember what it was like being 6 and that time playing outside. And when they remember that, they go, you know what? I haven't played with my child, but I remember how much I loved it or how much I wanted it. So now why don't I go do that for a child? I'm ready to live and really kind of rediscover my kid inside. Because when you're being an entrepreneur, the seriousness of things, and when you're following a dream, the seriousness of things can kind of become a little daunting. So I want to get back into just fun projects and just doing things that cause a smile.
They told me that I wouldn't survive this long, but I'm still alive. I've been beat up and bruised, used and abused, so worn down and tossed like old shoes. When my mind lost hope and my body stopped breathing, my heart stepped in and it beat and believing there was more to life than this season. I tread through the storm with wounds that need healing, back with pain that's still bleeding. Death grip squeeze, I got to proceed. I lived the constant struggles, but they won't be my end. Living fearfully, not turning back where I began. Abused, beaten, broken spirit refuses dying, but as long as I'm living, I pick myself and get back up. I won't let my fear be my downfall, so I use it as fuel to make my doubt fall.